All right. You're listening to the Dead Man's Tone podcast, a show broadcast live from a trailer park deep in the heart of Meth County, Texas. I'm your host, Mr. Deadman. With me is S.K. Barrett, a life coach that can unfuck your life if you'll let him. Tammy G is out tonight. She's out having a life. That's what's going on here. Okay?
Yeah, well, you know what? I think all this ghost talk we've been doing since she came on board, I think she's got my house infected now.
Oh, really?
And just weird things happening and sounds and stuff that never happened before. And that all just started, since Tammy G and all of this horror month. And what are we going to do about that? I don't know.
Might need an exorcism. I don't know.
Might be.
Maybe we could ask her guests. Hey, Rex Williams, do you know anything about exorcisms?
Not personally. I haven't actually been possessed ever. Well, according to my wife, I have, but no, I have not. Sorry, that was really lame. That was really
no, it's fine. Hey.
Lame jokes are welcome here.
Yeah,
okay,
that's all this is. This podcast is one giant lame joke.
This is a safe area, right? I'm in a safe situation.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, I can let loose then. Excellent. No, actually, no, I have not. My good friend Scott Grunwald, I'm sure you guys have heard of him. He's had some experiences with exorcism on a show that he had, a whole family. But no, personally, I haven't. I don't really want to. I don't really care to either. It's just not something that I'm just not into.
It doesn't sound like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it doesn't really. I mean, why tempt something that's you really don't really have any control over?
Right. Sounds pretty dangerous.
Right?
I mean,
when you could just go on Match.com if you wanted that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Take your chances.
I thought it was Tinder.
Tinder, yeah.
Yeah. SK's kind of, he's kind of showing his age here, Sorry, SK. Oh, it just is what it is. So, okay. Rex Williams. I think just about everybody knows who you are if they're familiar with Destination Truth. But who are you and what do you do?
Thanks for having me on, guys. It's good to be here. My name is Rex Williams, and like you mentioned, I was on Destination Truth on the Sci-Fi Channel years ago. We did about 5 seasons of DT with the incredible Josh Gates as the host. Very funny man, very great man, avid adventurer, and very humorous. We did those shows, and I basically kind of picked up where we left off once the show ended, and really got into producing. So I kept my medical career as well because of course, everybody should know I was one of the medics on DT, and so I have the medical background. I was a paramedic for almost 20 years until I went finally back and went into nursing, so I could get paid a little bit more. And but my side gig was kind of just keeping in the television field and trying to become a producer and getting as much experience as I can and learn as much as I can. So, that's kind of where I'm at. I've got a couple shows in the works right now that I'm working on, and I still, keep my medical career going. But my passion is TV. I love television. I love anything.
That is so interesting.
It's kind of weird to go from a medic position to someone in television. It's very strange.
It's strange, but it works. Which we'll get into that. Well,
sure.
And why EMT? Like, what was your passion there?
Oh my God! I mean, it started. I was young. I was in high school actually. It's pretty kind of a cool story actually. I had just taken CPR. I volunteered as a firefighter the day I turned 18. I was down at the fire department, putting in my application to become a volunteer firefighter. Soon after, I took the EMT course at my local community college, and loved it. And I was still in high school. Like I said, I was a senior in high school, and I had my pager, I had all my fire gear, and I was responding to calls, and I loved it. Before I even really got a chance to really take it far, we were at a band competition. I was a band geek in high school. I played drums. And we were at a competition out on the coast. And during one of the competitions, a parent had collapsed. He had a sudden heart attack.
Oh, my.
Sudden cardiac death is what mainly called, and so he was pulseless. He was basically dead. And they called overhead over the PA system for, is there any doctors here, any nurses, anybody, that knows what to do. And so I took off my drum. I just learned CPR, through the fire department, threw off my drum, took off my band coat, my funky hat with the little feather, and went running over there, and everybody's just kind of standing around, not doing anything. And I jumped in there and just started going to work. So here I am, a senior in high school. I'm a high school kid doing CPR on this adult while everybody just kind of stands around and watches. And I did that until the medics got there and took over. And I knew from that point right there, boom, this is my calling. This is for me.
But definitely,
The guy survived?
No, he did not.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately.
But a man of action, like you were that guy. You have it in you. If someone's in need, someone's in trouble like that, you snap into it. You don't just sit there or stand around and wait.
Right. And that's kind of how I think it's just kind of in my family. It's hereditary. My brother is in law enforcement and was a firefighter as well for the city of San Jose, and a cop for the city of San Jose, and in California. And my father was a firefighter. But he worked for the Forest Service. So he would take pack animals way deep in the high country, the Sierra Nevada mountains, and pack the firefighting crew up there by horseback and fight fires in the heavy wilderness.
Oh wow!
So it kind of runs in my family. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of adrenaline there.
Yeah, we're a family of adrenaline junkies for sure.
And one thing I've heard, because I worked with some nurses when I used to work at a psych facility for a number of years. One thing I heard though is that talking with some people who are EMTs, is that with nurses don't give EMTs much credit. Like, is that true?
That's absolutely. Well, first, just clarify. You worked there. You weren't admitted for several years, correct?
he says worked there, but
Okay.
you've seen
I'm just trying to clarify.
the movies where the patient walks around with a clipboard acting like a doctor.
Right.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah.
Handing out Tic Tacs as medications. Yeah.
Hey,
for sure.
Hey. I'm perfectly fine, guys. Hey, what'd you do?
Sorry, but no, you're absolutely correct, sir. Yes, it's kind of an unspoken thing, I guess. A lot of nurses, there's kind of this unspoken competition between nurses and medics.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. And I think honestly, I can say this because I'm a nurse and a medic. Nurses are a little bit jealous of medics because we have more autonomy. As far as nurses have to go and their mother may I to every little thing to the doctor,
right?
So we kind of give that, they're giving us that autonomy because we're out there on the front lines. We're at somebody's house, we're out in the fog and the rain and wind out the side of in the middle of nowhere on a traffic accident. So we have to have that decision making ability and to work on our own. And
you patch them up. I mean, you get the patient ready. If for ambulance, you take them to them. So
right.
You have to do so much.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. I mean, we could be out there and like I said, it's 3:00 in the morning, pitch black, and it's raining and windy, and we're wet and cold, and we're trying to get this kid out of he's pinned into a rollover vehicle accident. He's pinned in his vehicle, and he's in a bad shape, and we're trying to get him out. They're waiting for us in this nice air-conditioned, nice warm, great lighting, great lighting, all the resources at their fingertips, right. Hospital, and we have us and our gear that we carry in with us, to these scenes. So they have it a lot more better than we do, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Jesse worked at that facility for 3 to 5 years.
Oh, really?
Worked.
And then it's out on good behavior, right?
Yes.
Yes. I don't hear voices anymore.
That you admit to.
You don't hear voices anymore. No,
so there's definitely seems to be in the medical profession there's a pecking order, right?
For sure. And of course we know the doctors are at the top of that pecking order, and it just kind of rolls down.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. But I can say without a doubt, the experience I've had being a medic just in itself, I've seen so much death in that, and have witnessed personally so many things that I can't explain just in my job, that it was already kind of put in my head that, hey, I'm curious, this is really interesting stuff. There's nothing that can explain what's going on here, with this patient. For example,
okay. What do you mean?
Okay, so here's actually a couple quick short examples. One was I got a call for an altered mental status person. They weren't acting right at a home, so we get there, and I no way. Let me just preface this with I no way at all consider myself an empath, a sensitive, anything like that. Okay, not ever had that situation before, and I walk in and like right from the second I entered the front door, I had a massive headache, like it just hit me, boom, massive migraine headache, and which I don't get migraines too often. They're pretty slim, and the more I walked into the person's house, down the hallway, they were located in the back of the house, in the back bedroom, in bed. As I approached the back bedroom, my head got worse. And I felt kind of dizzy to the point where I thought I was going to have to ask for another ambulance to come over and take over for us. And,
Okay.
Was your partner okay?
He was fine. He was totally fine. He was like, looking at me like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, let's get out of here. Let's hurry up and get going, get this patient loaded up and go. And the second I looked at this guy, I knew. I was like, something in my head went, this guy's got a brain bleed. This guy's got a brain bleed. Like, I just knew it. He was having an aneurysm. He had a
wow.
aneurysm, a brain bleed. And so just having that gut feeling. Now, you can call it intuition, you can call it whatever. I had never experienced something that powerful before, to where I was almost feeling what he was feeling. And when I asked him questions, he was confused. It's like he was trying. He almost like he had a stroke. He was trying to get the information out, but he could not. Could not find the words. He was just not making sense. But he was conscious. He was awake. He was talking. Vital signs were good. He was stable. But I'm like, we need to get him going now. Like, get him in the ambulance. Lights and sirens. Light him up. Let's rush to the hospital. So I do my call into the hospital. Let him know we're coming. We're like 2 minutes away, and we get in the hospital. Take him in. And the ER doc meets us at the door. Is like, what's wrong? And the ER physician's like, you sound really upset. Like, what's going on with this patient? Like, I can't explain what it is. I said, this guy needs a head CT right now. I think he's got a brain bleed. He just do a head CT right now, CAT scan. He's like, okay, I trust you. And sure enough, the guy had a brain bleed. He ended up getting transferred out of that hospital within 2 hours for surgery at a neuro center.
Wow.
So that was so strange. And the second call wasn't really something that was that odd. I just hadn't experienced before. I had a younger lady, I think she was in her 30s, asthmatic. And this is when I was fairly new as an EMT. And I was assisting the medics in the ambulance. I was functioning as a EMT firefighter. And I was riding in the ambulance with them. And she was really bad, having a really bad asthma attack. And to the point where I was having to bag her. So we put an airway in her. And I was having to use a bag valve mask, those bags that you see squeeze. They squeeze and like the patient.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was at the head of the patient, looking right into her eyes, maybe a foot from her face, and I'm looking right into her eyes, sitting behind her, and they had the cardiac monitor on the EKG machine, and it was just going beep 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 beep, really fast, and because her heart rate was through the roof, and then all of a sudden it was like I was looking right in her eyes, and her pupils just dilated. It was like something, just like a switch just turned off. Like I could almost see her spirit leave her body right there. I didn't see a spirit leave, but you just the lights go off.
Yeah.
It's hard. I have such difficulty explaining it, but it's like, it's just blank. Like all of a sudden nothing's there. Like no one's home. Right. And that's at the same exact point that her heart stopped on the EKG. Her heart monitor, the EKG rhythm stopped. She went flatline, and it was like boom, like with an instant. It was almost like a breath, just like that, and the life was out of her.
Have you seen this again? Has it happened?
No, I've never witnessed that before, and I never witnessed that since. It was very, very strange. It gives. I have the chills right now. I have goosebumps right now. It just makes the hair on my back of my head.
I'm feeling some goosebumps myself. This is pretty eerie.
Close the door.
Yeah,
the doors are closed.
But it's, man, I'm telling you, man, it was like you can't even explain it. It was just, you just know. I just knew there was a soul or a spirit leaving that body. Like you just know, because I was looking right, and they say that the eyes are the windows of the soul, which there you go.
So, and
There
you've
you
seen
go.
death. You've seen people die before your eyes, before this
Plenty
and after
times.
this. Plenty. Okay.
Oh yes,
But
yeah, and
nothing
never
like
witnessed
this.
that.
Okay.
No, not at all.
Any other very bizarre things you've experienced in the field?
In the field, I've not really bizarre, and I want to keep it that way. But I don't want to go into some of the really heartbreaking stuff. It's just I don't. It's gonna really bring the show down. I don't
Yeah.
want to do that. But trust me, that I think the hardest part of the job, medical wise, with any position you're at, whatever rank you're at, is dealing with kids, with pediatrics. And I have such a love for kids, not like Epstein, but I love kids so much. I've always loved kids. I think because I'm on the same maturity level as them.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we kind of fit.
I still play
We kind of
Minecraft.
click. Exactly. Fortnite. But yeah, I just some of the calls that I've had. I mean, I'm comfortable with my masculinity. I will cry. I've one particular call was a little girl that was abused, and I had to transfer her to a specialized facility, and she was born completely healthy, absolutely fine, and because of her abuse, secondary to her abuse, she has epilepsy, she has frequent seizures, brain damage, and all I could do, really honestly, guys, was just hold her hand the whole way on the transfer from one hospital to the next.
Yeah.
And it was like nobody, like I said, like nobody was home. Like this was this beautiful little girl, less than 2 years old, less than 2.
Jesus.
And she had been abused so bad that now she has seizures, multiple seizures a day.
There's just not enough punishment in the world.
There really isn't, man. Honest to God, there is not enough. There isn't a deep enough hole in hell for a person like that, really.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I just, all I did was I just cried the whole way. I just held her hand and just kind of rubbed her hand to let her know somebody was there that cared. And it was just an empty shell. That's like described, was just this little girl was now an empty shell, and I just bawled, man. I lost it.
And man, that would make anyone cry. In fact, if you didn't cry, you would have to be a robot or something scarred inside.
Oh, for sure. Inhuman. Yeah, you'd have to be not human at all. You'd be inhuman.
I mean,
Yeah.
So how did being an EMT turn into television?
Well, that was that's the really weird, strange, bizarre unfolding of events that happened. I started working as a set medic.
Josh Gates have a heart attack and you came and rescued him?
Just happenstance, just yeah, no, I guarantee I would have been on every show since then if that was the case. He'd have me around all the time.
You owe me, man.
Come on, man. You remember when I saved your life? No, actually it was kind of weird. This was back in 2006, I believe, was when the economy took a dump. And a lot of people were looking for extra jobs, income supplement. And so I started working as a set medic on the side, and I found an agent down in LA that would get me set medic work. So I'd go work on commercials and music videos and Disney Channel stuff, and all these home shows, and I was the set medic. I was there in case somebody got hurt. Well, my agent calls me one day and he's like, "Hey, I got this production company. They're looking for a medic that can function as a medic and be on camera." And I was like, "Wow, I have no camera experience at all, like none, and never took acting, no experience." I'm like, "All right," and he's like, "I think you'd be great for it." I'm like, "Okay." So I got set up with an interview, went down to Ping Pong Productions in LA. And let me tell you, it was pretty intimidating because I walked in, and their meeting table is a ping pong table, so which is pretty cool. Yeah. So you go in there, and I'm sitting at a ping pong table, and there's a giant cutout poster board of Josh Gates, and this giant poster cardboard board cutout is like kind of back and to my left behind me, from where I'm sitting. Okay. And so I got Josh Gates, standing over my back, over my shoulder, so to speak. And then here comes Josh and Brad Coleman, who's the main producer, the owner of Ping Pong Productions. And so the two guys sit down across from me. And so now I'm surrounded by Josh Gates. one behind me, and one in front of me. So it was a little intimidating. And I'm like, okay, well, I did fine.
I'd
I
be
was
so tempted to go, I see two of you.
which one do I talk to? Excuse me. But yeah, I really sucked. I'm going to tell you right now, I bombed that interview. I bombed it, and it was because I was sick, kind of like I am right now. I apologize if I'm really nasally, but I just got off a 72-hour ambulance shift with 0 sleep in 3 days. I was sick. I had a head cold. I felt like crap, and I got off at 7 a.m. and drove immediately from the station down to LA. Found a bathroom to change into, and went in for the interview with that ping pong for Josh and Brad.
So
and
maybe there wasn't two of them there. You were just so sick.
I was just so sick I was hallucinating.
Yeah.
I mean, or there may have been more. I don't even know. Hiding somewhere. I don't know how many cardboard cutouts Josh has in there. But yeah, I bombed it. I sucked. Totally sucked. And they called me back and they let me know I sucked. No, not in so many words. They just said, thank you for coming in. You know, we appreciate it.
Right.
So I called them back an hour later and I was like, you know what? I want to tell you guys, thank you so much for having me down. You know, I wasn't on my A game. I was sick. You know, I explained to them the whole spiel. And then I get a call about 2 hours later and they're like, you know what? We want you to come back for another interview. So I was like, oh, sweet. So it pays off to be polite and courteous. So I come back the next day and an interview. Obviously, I did better that time because I got invited for another interview at the network. So I went to meet the network execs at Sci-Fi at NBC Universal, which is right next to Universal City down in LA. And so which is pretty intimidating in itself. It's this huge black building, and it's got NBC. It's got the peacock on the top. I think now it says NBC Comcast Universal or something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I go up there, and they're all super nice. Make a long story short, they asked me a couple questions. They asked me about my most, worst call I've had, best call I've had. You know, they asked me some different story questions. And of course, I told them that, you know, how I saved a little kid that was 4 that drowned, and I brought him back to life, and they loved it. They're like, oh my gosh, they're like, this is perfect. So I get a call back about a week later. My phone rang. I'm driving. This is before the no texting and driving, you know, all that stuff.
Right.
I get I'm not hands free, so I'm holding the phone in one hand. I'm driving with the other, and it's Josh Gates. He's like, "Hey Rex, this is Josh Gates from Ping Pong from Destination Truth." And I was like, "Hey Josh, what's up?" He goes, "I'm just wondering if you're ready to take a trip." And I was like, I like peeled off the top. I almost hit an old lady. I almost took out a mailbox.
And
you know, I was in shock. I couldn't believe it. And that was the rest is history.
And then you're like, yeah, I just want to clarify if we're talking about travel or some other kind of trip.
A mushroom trip.
Yeah. Are we going to be dabbling a little ayahuasca, or what are we doing? Are we going to go on our spirit journey?
Have you gone on a spirit journey?
I have not. No.
Oh.
No, sir, I have not.
Okay, that's okay. But
I've taken other journeys, but I've not been on the spirit journey. No.
That is quite the story. That's very interesting.
That's how I got it.
So you must have wowed them with your, I guess, medical experience, since that was your first time on camera, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, I never had any acting. I didn't do acting in high school. Didn't do none whatsoever. I mean, other than, you know, we're kids. We your mom and dad buy an awesome VHS camcorder, you know.
Yeah.
And you start playing with that and making, you know, doing stuff like that, but nothing legit. And but they liked my personality, which was kind of funny.
Really?
But the first, I know, it's surprising, right? Well, get this. So after my first interview, and I didn't get it, and they let me know, and they're like, we're looking for somebody with more personality. I'm like, oh, thank you. Wow, what a blow to the ego.
If I run out and get some, would that be okay?
Yeah, exactly. If I can find that, where can I find personality? So, but yeah, you guys are, I can kind of see where he's coming from. No, it was pretty bizarre. I mean, that's like, it was surreal. That's just the best way to describe it. The whole situation was just surreal. I'd never been involved in anything legit like that before in front of camera. So it was all new to me. But man, I tell you what, I ate it up. And you'll hear people like, oh, you got bit by the acting bug. Oh, you got bit by, and now you love it. They're not joking, man. It's like, if you like that stuff, it's like, it's on. It's like you get a tattoo and you can't just have one. You got to get another one. You got to get another one. You have to. You have to keep doing it until somebody says you absolutely suck and you'll never have any. You'll never get anywhere.
Cold turkey.
Yeah. Although, to be honest, I would like to hear that. I would like someone to be brutally honest with me, rather than kind of blowing smoke up my ass. Mm-hmm. I would like that information because I don't want to waste my time or anybody else's.
So what was the first? Where was the first place you guys went? Your first trip?
Okay, so according to the season listing, I don't remember what I think our first episode that we ever showed was the Alaska Thunderbird episode.
Okay.
And then I remember what the other one was with, but I think that was our very first episode. I may be correct. Any DT super fanatics out there, please don't be mad at me. I don't remember the very first episode we ever wrote or we ever filmed, but the first one that I remember going to was Alaska. I think that was the first place we went to was Alaska. Okay. My very first trip on DT was from LAX to Seattle to Alaska, and that was brutal. Let me tell you, we went there during winter, and it was brutal. I mean, it was like negative 36 degrees or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I had never been in anything lower than, I think the coldest I've been in maybe 10 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
I'd never been in anything colder than that, so it was new to me too.
Oh man, what was that like?
Yeah, it was. It hurt. It hurt to breathe. That's the only way I could tell. And it's people from Minnesota, Michigan. They all know what I'm talking about. Montana.
You can actually get lung frostbite.
Yeah, exactly. We had to put Vaseline on the skin that was exposed, because we were on snow-goes or snowmobiles. I guess they call them snow-goes up there. We're on snowmobiles going across the bay, the frozen bay. Passing ships that are frozen in the bay. Pretty kind of cool.
Yeah.
Kind of almost look like a post-apocalyptic wasteland, frozen wasteland. I'm just praying nobody gets frostbite. I'm praying nobody gets hypothermia.
What about yourself?
Or myself. Oh, well, the first thing I think of is someone's going to flip one of these friggin' snowmobiles, and we're going to have someone break their neck or break their back. And of course, Bisha does flip his snowmobile, but luckily he was fine.
Okay.
But yeah, we always had shit. Sorry.
Dude, that is an experience.
Yeah, say shit.
Okay.
Yeah, you can say all the fucking shit you want on this show.
Very good.
You don't have to worry about FCC over here. We're on the internet.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, I don't know if it's a family show or not. I don't know.
No, it's nothing family about this show at all.
Nope.
Very excellent. Yeah, no, it was very dangerous. I'm gonna be 100% real with you guys. Every episode that we did, made my butt pucker.
I'd imagine, dude. My butt puckering is now hearing this.
Dude, we're doing some pretty sketchy shit. Like for real, like we had to run stuff by the network lawyer just to make sure that if one of us died or we wouldn't get sued or what. So we had to make sure it was cool with the network and with NBC and everything, because we were doing some dangerous shit. I'm telling you right now, like some really dicey, sketchy stuff.
What was the most dangerous thing?
You had safety people along too, right?
He was the safety person.
We did.
No, he's the guy there if the safety person is wrong.
Right. Well, and that depends. Well, yeah, exactly. We had a couple guys that were like security, and that we had a security guy in Egypt, and we had a security guy in Turkey, and some of this, and of course Mexico City. We had a guy that was packing a freaking little Uzi in his coat because of the mafia, organized crime down there, and everything. It was dangerous. We were in some really sketchy situations. I think. Well, I mean, obviously the situation with the whole top of the aircraft flying off in mid-flight, that was pretty sketchy right there.
Wait, what?
The old Antonov or whatever it was, right?
The Romania episode. Yeah, the haunted forest in Romania.
I remember that episode. I remember this. It was a fabric-skinned biplane, and it just peeled off in the middle of the flight.
Yeah, it just peeled. It just went off. And apparently, what they found was that like a latch had broken, or one of the safety latches that keeps it latched had broken. and the vibration had just kicked it loose. So we're in mid-flight. I mean, we're probably, probably 10,000 feet. We're not real high, maybe 5 or 10,000 feet. And the roof just comes off in mid-flight. So all of a sudden, there's this rush of air, just sounds like a windstorm, and everybody's just like, "Get us down now! Get us the F down!" So that was pretty dicey. Yeah, that's just one. Some of the caves that we went to in South America, some of the caves had chambers, antechambers that would go, kind of shoot off, and would just have at least 100-foot drops. I mean, we'd drop a rock down and you couldn't hear the bottom. We never heard it hit. So one step, and they're not roped off. I mean, you take one step to the right or left off the trail in this cave, and you're dropping.
And you guys are bringing equipment with you. Like, how much did it weigh?
Over 1,000 pounds of equipment, yeah.
Oh, damn it. There's nothing safe about this at all.
No.
Then what? Is that why they canceled it? They're like, it's hard. We can't get sued, guys.
Well, I kind of wondered that, actually, because Josh got very, very ill in Africa. Okay, he we were in South Africa. Well, actually, to kind of explain this, how he got sick, we were in Argentina shooting an episode on the Argentinian Bigfoot, and we were horseback, and a bunch of us got deer ticks. We got ticks on us.
Oh man.
Yeah, and Josh happened to get Lyme disease from the tick he had. Interestingly, he didn't have. I don't know if you guys know about tick bites. You probably do from being out there.
Yeah.
You get that classic bullseye. It's called erythema migrans, and that's the bullseye pattern that the tick bite leaves, or the disease leaves.
I had one tick in my life, and it was on my ball sack, and it was.
Oh my god! I had. Never mind. Actually,
I think people would take Lyme disease more seriously if it wasn't named after a pie.
Right. I would rather have key Lyme disease than Lyme disease.
Right. But I mean, if they called it Ebola is like, you don't even have to know what it does. Like,
it sounds
bad. Yeah. You might as well saying, "Oh, you caught your face melting off." Oh, okay.
Right.
That sounds something I'd want to have. But yeah, I had actually, Josh and a bunch of us had ticks. I had to take some ticks off our crew members. The tick that I found right before getting a shower was right on the tip. Yeah.
Wow.
So when I pulled that thing off, you can imagine that was in a little bit of blood. I about fainted.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a good place to find a tick. So I can relate to your ball sack.
Yeah. God.
So to speak.
Okay. Wow, dude, that is good. Yeah. That is good.
He got very sick. He got very, very sick, and I mean, he was a fever 104 plus. Nights just sweating through his clothes, body aches. He was pale as a ghost. He looked like shit. He was legit sick. And after Argentina, he had to go shoot an episode for Ghost Hunters in New York, because they were doing I think it was in Buffalo, New York. They did a Ghost Hunters Halloween special. And he flew from Buenos Aires to LA or right to New York. He might have went right to New York and did the show, and then came back and met us in South Africa. So
wow.
by the time he got to South Africa, he was very, very sick. And the first thing I thought was, oh, it's cold and flu season. He's probably been shaking a million people's hands. Mm-hmm. He's got the flu. He's got a flu virus.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's exactly what I was presenting with. And he never had that bullseye classic pattern. So I was treating with antivirals. I was giving him antiviral medications, because I'm not going to give him antibiotics, in case I know it's a real bacteria. I don't want to do that to him. So nothing was helping. So I'm like, shit, what the hell's going on? I'm starting IVs in him, one after another, to keep him hydrated. So we're out in the middle of Africa, 4 hours at least drive to the nearest hut, which would be a medical clinic. It's a hut.
Yeah.
4-hour drive. There's no way. There's no airlift, nothing like that. Nothing available. So we're on this. It reminded me of God, I can't even think of the name. But anyway, we're in this old African hut. It's dark. There's mosquito netting drip down, and he's laying in this bed. Looks like he's dying. completely drenched in sweat, pale. So I'm starting IVs, and I'm just like, he's gonna die. Like, I'm not gonna tell him, but he's gonna die.
And in
And
this
you're like,
hut,
oh, there goes my career.
There goes my career.
yeah, and
Exactly.
and this hut
So-
wasn't sanitary,
so I-
right? I mean, it doesn't
No,
sound like
not
it's,
at all.
oh,
No, dirt. I'm talking dirt floors. You know, the shaman has the shaman shaking his smoke thing around, and you know, I think he's he's
right.
saying his last rites. Possibly, I think that's what he was giving him, his last rites, because I think even the shaman knew he was going to die.
mm-hmm.
But no, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to give him a high dose of antibiotics just in case.
Right.
Just in case, because I was thinking,
Because like, what harm can it do at this point, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I'd load him up with doses, and he starts feeling better. So the next day we took a flight to a real clinic, and they did blood work, and or actually a hospital, not clinic. They did blood work, and it came back positive for rickettsia, which is the bacteria in Lyme disease. So I was right. And they continued to load them up with antibiotics. And after about 2 or 3 days, it was so bad, we had to stop production. And nobody ever wants to stop production when you're out in the field traveling. I mean, you're losing money every day.
Right.
So he was out for, I think, 3 days total until he got better. And then he was fine. He was totally fine after that. And as far as I know, he's never had any permanent neurological damage or anything like that, which you pretty much typically see in people with Lyme disease. You'll see it affects the nervous system mainly. So, but luckily he didn't have any. So,
Well, it sounds like he owes you now. I mean, you did save his ass.
I almost made him give his necklace to me, but he was going to give it to Aaron Ryder, because she wanted it, but then he was like, "No, I'm going to die with this on." And I'm going to be buried with it on.
Did the shaman take credit for it?
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
I didn't speak African, so Afrikaans.
Okay.
So I'm sure he was.
I'm curious about. Now we talked about environmental hazards and running with disease. What about were there any safety issues regarding, let's say, like cultural issues or integrating or adapting?
Other than criminals.
Other than Uzis
sure.
under a jacket.
Oh yeah, no. We had when we were in Egypt and we were shooting the Salwa episode. That's that cat hybrid, like a hybrid hyena.
And we'll get into those stuff pretty soon.
Well, yeah. That was the one we were filming on. Anyway, long story short, we were in the sugarcane fields, and we didn't know that we had drifted into somebody else's property, and we were met with some not too happy farmers carrying AK-47s.
Oh,
so that was not very fun.
No.
Here we are. We have spears that we fashioned ourselves. We have these flashlights and spears in case we run across the Salwa, and we're met with AK-47s in our face. Luckily, our fixer. No. I was just saying. Luckily, our fixer spoke to them and calmed them down and explained them what happened, and so it ended uneventfully.
Well, that's good.
Crazy Americans shooting a stupid TV show.
Yeah, exactly.
Asking for money.
Exactly. I mean, it was a little dicey in Chernobyl too. Chernobyl.
Ooh, yeah.
That was environmental and a little cultural, because it was so strict in getting in there. From what I hear, it's a lot easier to get in there. I guess they're offering tourism there now, which is pretty nuts.
That's
considering the safety lengths we had to go to protect us from radiation. I mean, that was, like I said, another sketchy situation. We had we almost didn't make it through. We thought we were going to get held up by security in Ukraine. They're very, very not so friendly, I guess you could say. The security team, security forces. Yeah. But just the radiation itself levels were really, really sketchy. We had to wear dosimeters, and we had a Geiger counter, of course, so we had to measure how much total radiation we were exposed to. And then as we returned the next day after overnight investigation, we had to return to these barracks, and we had to put our hands. It almost looked like one of those beam me up, Scott, the teleporter machines from Star Trek.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You stand on it, but then you put your hands on either side of it in front, this beam in front of you, and that would measure how much radiation. Well, a red light would come on. That means you are too contaminated. You cannot go in. You're irradiated. And a green light means you're cool. Okay, you haven't been radiated enough. So all of us are going green, and then one of us, I won't say who it was red.
Oh,
But
and
the
he
guard,
was.
no, get the guard that was supposed to be watching us go each person one at a time happened to be turned around and not paying attention when our last person went through,
Ah,
and
okay.
it did not see red light. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
So they let you through, but somebody was still in the red.
Uh-huh.
yeah. It wasn't Josh. It wasn't Josh. It wasn't me. I won't say that.
But what do you do
I can't
when
say
you're
who-
radiated? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, there's not really anything you can do. I mean, other than just you have to monitor yourself and for further testing, because I mean, you get radiation sickness, radiation poisoning, and that's no bueno.
Iodine or something, right?
What's that? Yeah, iodine. We did take iodine supplements prior to, just in case. I picked up this stuff called Thyro Shield. It was like a grape flavored drink, and it's basically iodine, and it's supposed to protect your thyroid gland from radiation exposure. So that's what I made everybody drink prior to entering Chernobyl.
Okay. Well, this person that came up red, I mean, have they grown an extra limb? Are they
No.
okay?
No. I mean, I think he might have superpowers now, but no.
So it does work.
He doesn't. He does. It's real.
He's going around biting spiders.
Making them radioactive. No, but it's like legit, because there's so many animals, and I mean, nature has basically retaken that whole area, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, like
a whole city just retaken by nature. There's wolves. There was wolves running through the city of Pripyat where we were at. There was bears. I mean, just anything. There was, they found 3-headed fish and 6-legged frogs. I mean, they found some legit.
okay.
Radiation.
Now I think is a good time to get into the weird creatures that you've seen through your experience.
Yeah.
I guess starting with Chernobyl, because I imagine that place would have some mutated dogs, wolves, bears, and shit. What was
sure.
What was the most? What was the craziest thing you saw over there?
We didn't see really. I mean, anything as far as a cryptid. We didn't or really any animal. That was mostly a haunting investigation, but. Like I said, wolves do run through there, and we did have some animals run through. We didn't get a good look at it, but for good reason.
Okay.
We didn't want to because even the animals themselves are irradiated. So, in fact, there was big patio areas outside the buildings and whatnot. Like, for instance, the school had a basketball court, and the asphalt had cracks in it, as they do when they get old. And some of the moss growing up through the cracks were highly radioactive, just the moss itself. And that's because it's feeding off the groundwater.
Right.
The
and the minerals.
And the minerals, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but, we wouldn't get a reading on much anything else, but until we got that Geiger counter towards the moss, it would just go wild, go berserk. Luckily, we knew of animals. Like I said, we knew the bears, we knew the wolves. We knew there was real danger there. And who knows what the hell, like, is this going to be a 3-headed wolf? Like, is Cerberus? What is this going to be that we're going to meet out here? So that was always in the back of our head. I mean, just the fact, who's going to want to meet a pack of wolves anyway? Let alone that's possibly mutated.
I think wolves are cool. I'd love to meet some.
Wolves are really, they're my favorite animal, actually. They are my spirit animal.
Okay.
For sure.
So,
But unfortunately, we did not see any any mutations or anything like that.
All right, so no
We heard about
mutations
a-
there. But what
No.
about with other places, other destinations? Have you
Right.
seen any
Yeah,
weird,
you did a
bizarre
fair
things?
amount of cryptozoology investigation. Did you ever
Yes.
find anything?
The only really hard evidence that we found was the Yeti in Bhutan, and that was the hair sample that we had picked up that was stuck to a really pretty kind of high up in a tree, maybe about 7 or 8 feet high on the bark of a tree, where it looked like an animal just brushed against it, and some of its fur got caught in it in the tree. Excuse me. We took that hair sample, bagged it, and had it shipped back to the United States. They actually did ship it to a lab in Texas,
Mhm.
and they did a DNA spectrometer on it. They did the whole assessment, and of course they have the catalog. Everything's cataloged. Their DNA is cataloged, and the findings were, this is nuts. And I think they should have made a bigger deal than they did out of this personally. An unknown type primate is what the results were.
I remember that. I remember. So that's the one where you had to go over this giant ridge, and it was going to snow like any day now, and you weren't ever sure if you're going to even get out.
Yeah.
And in that giant forest, so that the little guy was leading you out there. He says, "Oh yeah, I know where to." Yeah. And the results, it was like, "Oh yeah, we don't know what it is." And it's like, the fuck.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we thought, there's bears there. There's tigers in the Himalayas. There's tigers. There's bears. There's these big beasts of burden that carry the pack animals that can rub across that with long hair. And this was kind of a reddish brownish hair, kind of light colored, really thick and coarse.
Okay.
I'm like, first of all, who put their pubes up there? Who's the redhead? Like, this is not funny.
How?
And how did you get your balls that high in the tree? Yeah, no, it was a really strange hair anyway, and it did smell. It smelled pretty bad, and which is a common thing that we hear, of course. So, so we bagged it. Like I said, it came back as an unknown type primate. So it's a primate that has not been classified. It's an unclassified primate, which is pretty crazy since they have literally thousands and thousands and thousands of coded DNA cataloged.
Mhm.
So
Right. And how many of those are unknown? How many unknown primates are there?
Exactly. This would have to be some new species.
Yeah.
So very, very cool.
The answer to that question, how do you answer that? How many of an unknown is there? It's like, well, how do you? I don't know.
That's unknown. That's
Exactly.
unknown. We don't know.
If you got a sample, it stops being unknown typically.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
typically
if they can match it. Yeah, typically, unless they can match it to something, Yeah, exactly.
But to not even say, this is a some variation of this kind of monkey and that kind of monkey.
Right.
Just to throw up your hands and say primate. That's as close as we can get.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a DNA expert by any means, but I know there's certain markers that will show something in the same genus or the same kingdom, the same phylum, and there's different ways that's coded. The DNA is coded to give you that information. But this is some specific code in such a pattern that they'd never seen this before. Like, it wasn't this Pyrenees monkey or something. It wasn't something that they knew that they had. They've tracked that DNA.
Even more so, it wasn't just inconclusive.
Right. It wasn't just inconclusive, and I think that's the thing is that's the nail on the head. Is
I remember that episode very clearly and being like, did I just hear that right? They got an actual hair sample that nobody knows what it is.
Yeah. Yes. And by far, I think that's the best piece of evidence that we'd ever got.
Okay, honestly. So that's the best piece of evidence.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, have you seen anything that like stands with you or that kind of mess with you even now? Like, I'm sure you've seen some things, right?
Oh yeah. No, it's a haunting. Is that okay? Are we still on cryptids?
Oh no, that's fine.
Okay, cool.
You can kind of move on.
For sure, and I know one that I will never forget is the episode that we did in Thailand, this old jungle temple we were investigating, and I was actually physically touched by something unseen, and I had never experienced that in my life ever. I never thought I'd experienced that. I'd always heard about people being touched by something unseen. I never experienced it for myself. I was kind of like, okay, yeah, maybe. I was a skeptic, but really open-minded skeptic.
Very clearly, you felt like you were touched, and there was nobody around.
Very, very clearly. We heard footsteps just prior to that. I had my backpack camera rig on, so I had a camera facing my face. Plus, I was holding a camera, a handy cam, and we had the geophone, checking for vibration, low vibrations. We had the audio recorder going. I was doing a session, and I sent the other two guys. I'm like, hey, go see if you can catch whatever that's making that walking noise. Sound like footsteps coming down the hall. And we're in this old rundown temple that hadn't been occupied for hundreds of years, and out in the middle of nowhere. And we just happened to be in the section where the priests would gather, just below the main temple itself. This area where the priests would gather and get ready and prepare for their ceremony. So then they'd get all ready in their robes and whatnot, and they'd walk together up this big stairway up to the main temple, right? So we're in the priest area, the waiting area. I guess their green room, if you want to call it. And that's when we heard the steps coming down, and I sent the other two guys to go look. I'm like, I'll continue the EVP session, and I asked questions. I said, are we in danger here? And all of a sudden, I thought it was the guys coming back playing a joke on me. I felt hands around my neck.
Around your neck? Wow.
Around my neck, for like somebody come up from behind me and grab. And of course, the first thing you do is a reaction is you reach up and you try to grab whoever's hands is on your throat, right? You reach up yourself and try to pull the hands away.
Yeah.
That's your instinct. So I reach up and pull, and there's no hands on my neck. There's no hands behind me, and I look and it was squeezing me so hard around my throat that I couldn't breathe, and I started coughing so hard that I actually threw up.
Wow.
Right there on camera. Threw up on camera.
Did you end up with marks?
I did have marks. My even Josh came and saw, and I had red marks on my neck. Which is really cool is the fact that when we play the tape back, if it was too grainy to show, and actually the network thought that it'd be too scary to put in the episodes, so left it out, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Zoomed in and looked, and it was really grainy. You could see finger indentations in my skin.
Whoa.
Yes.
Okay.
On camera?
On camera, yeah. But they thought it was too scary to be on film.
That's good stuff, though. Come on now.
I know.
Oh,
plus
okay.
It was
they draw the line
grainy,
there.
so.
They draw the line there, but they green light all the other risky stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, they thought it'd be. They know the kids, that the demographics, kids also watch the show, and little kids, and that would be too horrific, I guess, to see that. Especially the way I reacted to it, because I was just like, wow, I was scared to death. You could see my eyes were as big as saucers, and I was having trouble breathing. It was a very scary moment, and I will never forget that for the rest of my life.
How did you sleep that night?
No, I can imagine.
I did not sleep that night. I did not sleep. Well, for one thing, because we were on investigations, we were up all night anyway.
Oh,
but
okay.
Even when we got back when we were supposed to sleep, I didn't sleep.
No.
At all.
Imagine not.
Despite being up for 24 hours.
You're sleeping on. You had the night light on in your bedroom now.
No, I have the night light on. I have the ceiling light on. I have I have a crucifix over my bed. not really.
The power
Not really.
of Christ compels you. I don't know.
Can I ask you about a different episode that I remember?
Sure, absolutely.
There was one, and I apologize, but I don't remember what was going on in that episode. But I remember just the audio guy having his bag come up and smack him in the face. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which one that was.
I mean, he had the boom pole over his head, and then the backpack full of audio gear on his belly, and it just lifted up and smacked him in the face.
I'm thinking that might have been the Island of the Dolls in Mexico.
Oh God, that we were just talking about that.
That place is creepy.
Jesse?
I think
Yeah, we were.
that's the only one that comes to immediately to mind where something really bad happened to him, to Mike, our audio guy.
In fact, let me just throw that image up on the screen because we have images of that from we talked about it last time.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, we were just talking about that the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a pretty intense, for sure.
That was one creepy ass place, man.
It was, and to do the solo sessions that we did, one of us would go in there solo for 30 minutes, sometimes an hour by ourselves, and the rest of us would watch outside, great distance away, and that was the one episode where Mike literally just like bolted, like he jumped up all of a sudden. And, oh, you know what? Are you talking? You're not talking about the where our Evan, our camera operator, got thrown, like his whole body got thrown? Are you talking about that one in Romania?
No. This is one where the sound guy wasn't moved, but his gear was
Rig jumped up.
It jumped right up into his chin.
Oh, I don't know. That might have either Mexico or that might have been season 5. That might have been after I left.
So that was pretty impressive because that was caught on camera.
I want to know more about this Island of the Dolls thing. Like, what was it like being over there?
It was pretty intense. Well, first of all, you can find it. You look any of the most haunted places in the world, and that's one of the places. And it's this little island, and there's actually a bunch of little islands. And you think of island like out in the middle of a lake or some large body of water. This was like basically they call them islands because they're surrounded by canals. So it's kind of like a grid of canals. So each little grid it would be like a property size, like maybe an acre or a couple acres.
Yes.
Each grid square of land.
So it's a man-made island.
But pretty much, yeah, exactly, for sure. But nonetheless, we still had to take a boat to get there. And
was it as creepy as it looked?
It was. I mean, just from the moment we got there, the moment our boat hit the shore and we took a step out, we were greeted by literally thousands of dolls that were in various states of rot and decomposition. And
who puts the dolls up there?
Really, the majority of them were put up by the last resident who was found dead.
Oh, really? I thought people went there and did it.
So I think some people still do. Like once in a while, they'll drop off $1 or something for good luck to try to appease the spirit of the little girl. But majority was from the man that was found dead. That was actually worried about the spirit of the little girl that drowned in the water previous to him that lived there. He said that he's had experiences with the spirit of this little girl that drowned, and that's why he would take her dolls to try to appease her spirit and leave her candy and light candles. And then he ended up we found him, or we didn't find him, but he was found dead, drowned in the water, just like the little girl was. So yeah, a lot of mystery around that.
So he hangs a bunch of dolls and trees to appease the little girl spirit?
Yeah, because he felt that little girl's spirit was very angry that she had passed too soon, and so he was trying to appease her by bringing her gifts. What other gift would a little girl like?
Oh, isn't she gonna be more pissed off that these dolls are mutilated and burned and
out of her reach?
No, I think it was, yeah, exactly. No, I think it was just the fact that a lot of the dolls just kind of were exposed to elements so much, so and just hanging out. So they have spiders growing in them. They had spiders crawling out their eyes, and
oh my god,
really weird. Oh yeah, really strange.
It is an eerie sight.
It is.
If Toy Story ever went dark, they should do a movie over
there
here.
There you go. Exactly. Toy Story from hell. Exactly.
Was there anything they wanted you to do that you just said no?
Gosh, I don't. No, there wasn't really. Now that I think about it, there pretty much everything was. Okay. We're in it. we're gonna go for it. I mean, there was some instances where I'm like, "Hey, this is very, very dangerous, guys. Like, legit dangerous." Because my part of my job was doing a lot of pre-planning. So I did some production work as well. as well as being the medic, because I had to do the pre-planning for the emergency action plan in case somebody got hurt. And
Okay.
it all depends. So I had to do this research on all the different locations that we were filming prior to going there, just so I'd be prepared. So I'd know that we had access to the right antivenom, in
Oh,
case the
yeah.
specific snake bite occurred. How are we going to get this person transported? Are we going to, life flight them out? Are we going to take helicopter and, medevac them out? How are we going to get them? So the whole pre-plan, basically, emergency action plan, I had to be ready. And in Panama at the old Panamanian prison, there's this snake called the fleur de lance, and it's one of the most deadliest snakes in the world, actually, and it killed a grown adult within 20 minutes. Well,
Whoa.
as part of the production, I had to pre-plan and have, make sure we had antivenom, make sure we had an escape route, and how we are going to go about this to get somebody within 20 minutes to a hospital, or at least to get antivenom in them. So I had to do a lot of pre-planning ahead of that. So my job wasn't just as medic. I kind of wore hats, and that's kind of why I jumped into being, producing after DT, is just the amount of fact of all the good stuff that I learned working on DT, and kind of wearing all those hats.
Yeah, imagine so. You
Wow.
juggle a lot of responsibilities there. No, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Wait, so did you experience any paranormal activity at the Daw Island place? Because that it seems pretty creepy.
Personally, no.
Okay.
No, personally, no. But Mike, for sure. Yeah, and if you watch that, you can definitely see.
Okay, and also through
Yeah,
a picture
for
of
sure.
the snake you're talking about. That thing looks
Oh, yeah, the
pretty
lance,
nasty.
yeah. And the dangerous thing about that is that they're so they're pit viper, they're heat sensing, so they can sense heat. And so if you're holding a flashlight out in front of you at night, walking through the jungle, it's going to strike at that light because it thinks it's dinner. It's striking. The light bulb is warm as opposed to everything in its environment. So it's going to strike at that, and guess what's in your hand? The flashlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or in our case, the headlamps, which is even worse.
Oh, good. At your face.
Yeah.
Right in the face.
Just a little snake bite to the face. What's wrong with that, right?
And they're cranky enough to do that. I mean, a lot of snakes they'd rather just go around, just let you go by and not bother you.
Sure. I think this is mostly a case of mistaken identity. I think they're looking for food. I don't think it's attack mode. I think it's more or less misidentification.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Now, you also went to the suicide forest in Japan, is that right?
No, I did not.
I thought you did.
I know. I wish I could speak on that, but no, that was before I came on.
Dang. Oh, well, I guess let's not talk about that one. No. But what places would you like to go to, though, that you haven't?
That I haven't, gosh. I've wanted to go to India on a production, and we almost got to go, but that's another issue that comes along with filming abroad, is that you have to make sure you have your visas secured, and your funds paid prior to, and you have to get all that way in advance. And so we had to pay all the appropriate fees, make sure we're even granted those visas to come through, which takes time. So if you're going to film out in other countries, this is all things you have to think of as well. Well, we tried to get into India, and they wouldn't accept our visas. They denied us for whatever reason. I don't remember what the reason was, but they denied us. So we couldn't even film that location. So we had to kind of shoot from the hip, and okay, what are we going to do from a production standpoint? We're going to have to fill this. This is a whole episode we're going to have to not even shoot. So we got to. Luckily, we always had something in our bag, so we had a plan B, and that's when we just, instead of that, we just changed our routes, our travel, and our accommodations, and our plans, and we took it to another country. So we had multiple episodes kind of in the bag, or in the can, if you will, mm-hmm. That we could go to.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
But
like that. Yeah,
there's not really any places specifically that. I mean, other than India, I think that's the place I would, just because we were that close to going, and I've wanted to go to India. I would love to go back to Thailand. Thailand is like the grown-ups Disneyland. Oh, it is absolutely. Bangkok, Bangkok is Disneyland for adults.
Oh, please tell some stories. You got some stories?
Yeah, I can't really say right now. I apologize, guys. I'm gonna have to cut this short.
Oh, it's okay.
My boys, he's on the spectrum and he needs some help. So I
I totally understand. I
Well,
totally understand.
yeah.
I
Take
appreciate
care of
that.
the family.
You got a
But
jet.
I'm sorry for cutting it short, guys. But I had so much fun, and I really appreciate you guys having me on and asking me the questions.
Hey,
I love
it's
it.
This has been a blast.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
And
Mr.
if
Williams.
you ever have another day in the future and you want me to come back on and finish, I can absolutely, I might have some more information on the new show that we're doing too. So
Okay.
Oh, cool.
That's cool.
Another plug, and that'll be great, man. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
All right, Mr.
bet.
Williams, where you take it easy, man.
Good to see you, man. Have a good one. Thanks, guys.
All right.
All right, bye-bye.
Man, that was great.
Oh man, I could listen to those stories all day.
Right? Man. That is wild right there. So there sounds like there was nothing safe from the get-go.
India kept him out because Josh is such a smart ass.
Probably. Yeah. No. Yeah. They probably did a background check on him. It was like, no, he's not allowed in. He's not allowed
This
in.
guy?
No.
No.
Man, the Uzi, what was that? Was that in Mexico? Where was that at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would have
Mexico.
been interesting. Oh, got it. If we had more time, I could have dug into that. But like, oh, what happened there? Had any problems with the cartels? Or, whew, man.
Yeah. I spent some time in the Mexican desert as in high school, and let me tell you, that was an amazing experience. But hell, if I'd go back now.
Yeah. I had a weird experience. I was worried about going to Mexico. What it was like? What? I think it was a honeymoon. Yeah, that was the last time I went. The first and last time,
Yeah.
and that was a weird experience. It's like you hear stories about people being beheaded and shit like that.
Yeah.
And anyone could just walk up to those resorts and do anything. So
Absolutely.
man.
And they do.
Or
It's just, yeah, Mexico's got a real problem. And it's just getting worse.
oh yeah, there was
gonna-
something recently that happened too, right?
Yeah. There was a shootout
Yeah, I should
between the army and the cartel, and the army lost.
Yeah, the cartels won.
Yeah. In the middle of the day, in the middle of the city.
Man,
And they were outgunned and out ruthlessness.
but the military. I mean, what is the military going to do? Because they're going to have to surrender. They're going to back down because at the end of the day, they're people, man, and they don't want to lose their lives. The cartel pretty much owns them. They have them in check.
Yeah. I don't know if what's going to happen there, but it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
Yeah. Well, and what's the other thing I heard that what Mexico's gonna? I don't know. I'm not sure if this is true. I gotta look this up. Mexico is gonna. They're really gonna make all drugs legal. Is that their plan?
Well, it doesn't matter if Mexico does if we don't.
Yeah. Because that's not really gonna do much. But then the cartels will just be able to operate in the open. They still operate in the open. I mean, they own the military practically. I mean,
They are pretty out in the open, yeah.
right?
Pretty bold. They're pretty fucking bold.
So if Mexico makes all drugs legal in Mexico, that still doesn't change the cartels. It doesn't really mess with them.
Nope. It doesn't.
It's like,
Because the cartels are shipping north.
yeah. Man. That's crazy. So, SK, you seen any recent horror films?
I caught a little bit of the Notebook when I was flipping channels. God, that's scary shit. Oh man.
But pretty good sex scenes. I mean, what's her name? What's the name of the chick that's in it? Pretty hot. You know which one I'm talking about, right? Come on.
In which movie?
The Notebook.
Oh, The Notebook.
Ah, shit. What's the actress' name? Fucking A. Oh, she's fucking hot, too. Come on, she'd be like, man. Okay, I actually have to look this up. What is her name?
What is her name?
I don't even know.
Rachel McAdams?
Yeah, there you go. Rachel McAdams. And she's not bad. She's not bad looking.
She's not bad. Not bad.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a pretty bad movie to have to sit through. Oh man. But we were talking about just doing movie reviews, horror movie reviews. We kind of flesh it out right now, I guess, a little bit. So we just
maybe start next week on that.
Yeah, we just review movies.
Because this once a week business is kind of slow and boring. So
yeah, you gotta. You missed me, SK. That's what's going to happen.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
We go back to the usual schedule. When you go back to the normal schedule of Friday nights, it's going to be, man, I have just too much time. I just, yeah. So I think we're planning Tuesdays. It'd probably be the similar format, just live and just talk about the movie we watched. You know?
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. And I believe what we wanted to do, what's the movie called? Frailty, right?
Frailty the first time, yeah. And the reason I picked that one is a lot of people have missed it, haven't seen it. It didn't get a big theatrical release, didn't get a lot of studio support, and that's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree that it's unfortunate because I just watched it tonight and it's pretty good. I'm not going to review it right now. I'm holding my thoughts.
Yeah.
It's just, man.
I have yet to meet anybody who saw that movie and went, yeah.
Yeah.
If you've seen it, you like it.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I hope we also go back in time and get some old classics.
Oh, we could
maybe
totally
some lesser known classics from the 50s and 60s,
cool.
or even older than that.
Nice. We do Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Go back even further. Do White Zombie. Nosferatu. Dracula.
Oh man, that's going way back.
Going way back. I don't know how you review that. Well, there's no dialogue. Oh, it's all. You have to read.
Yeah, I gave up on reading.
Mm-hmm. Now, what the amount of submissions I've been receiving for Wolf Winter, I'm looking at it. I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like reading anymore. I got a submission call for a new anthology called Wolf Winter for December. So there's that. Werewolves in a kind of winter snow.
For Dead Man?
Yeah, for Dead Man's Tome. Yeah, that's
Wolf Winter, huh?
Yeah. I think Werewolf Winter. I think it'll work well. And it's not really going to just be Christmas. That way it can, the anthology will sell throughout the year. It's not like focus on a specific holiday.
Werewolves aren't seasonal either.
Nope. So it should sell all year long. Look at that. Unlike the Cthulhu Christmas special, which is pretty much a one time a year sort of thing. Or the cycle holiday. Yeah.
One of these days I'll write something up for you.
Maybe if we... Dead Man's Tome's not even a real magazine. If it was a real magazine, I'd have a column in there where someone like you could write some opinionated pieces about how they feel about life and stuff.
You're assuming I'm opinionated.
All right. Oh, you don't have opinions?
If I was opinionated, I'd have a book.
Right. Yeah. Gee. And I think, well, aren't you working on a new one? You could possibly work on a new one. And we gotta
I have more opinions than could fit in one book.
I believe that. And I read through the first one. We got to talk about some of those topics on the show sometime. Whenever we can. Like, what is a creeper? How do you know when you are a creeper? Stuff like that.
And how does somebody become a creeper? Now that's even more interesting. How is a creeper made?
Well, like in Minecraft, they just sort of appear and they blow up.
And I don't mean in the special effects shop in Hollywood.
Oh,
I mean in an incel type of creeper.
Well, we can get into that one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have my theories. I've one of the things I've been trying to do is to get in touch with some of these creepers that are harassing women on Facebook, and because I want to talk to them, I want to find out what's going on in their heads that makes them think that what they're doing, is effective.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how it's mind-boggling to me at this point, but I don't know what's going through their noggins.
Well, in their mind, they think that they. I wonder what they would have to say for themselves. But I bet you they see themselves as the good guy. They don't.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Unless they hate women so much they just out to piss them all off. But there's it's a real one-on-one approach to that. When it's easier to piss them off in groups.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But yeah, so I agree that they think that they're the good guys, and they probably think that all the women that get pissed at them are just bitches, because they, like one of the indicators of a creeper is when things don't go your way, you get pissed at the women.
Yeah, I can see that. You piss at them. You feel like you're owed something, like they owe you.
There has to be some sense of entitlement, I would think. But, if things don't go your way, call her a bitch, because that'll change your mind.
Or just send that dick pic.
On.
Tell her she's a nasty whore online and stuff, because that's gonna help. That's gonna help.
Yeah.
Car all sorts of nasty stuff.
She'll completely rethink her position after that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on.
No,
I have not gotten one in captivity yet to talk to me.
We should invite one on the show. We should find someone who seems to be.
If you can find one, I would love to have a respectful, interview, seeking information. I don't want to talk to him to humiliate him.
Yeah, not to humiliate. Well, on the incel episode we've done, we have some comments in the comment section. If you read them, some of those guys, if someone reach out to them, they might be interested in coming on to explain because some of them seem to be defending or like, oh, we got it all wrong, things like that. Okay, well, talk about it, and they might actually be on the incel spectrum, if you want to call it a spectrum, the creep spectrum,
right?
But yeah,
I would, if you're one of these guys who tries to have make quote unquote friends with women on Facebook for the sole purpose of having some kind of remote digital sex. And that's all you want. We want to talk to you.
Yep. Come on the show. Tell us why that is.
Come on the show. Tell us your story. I want to hear all about it.
Well,
for real.
You're talking to one right now. Women to me are nothing but objects. Don't you know Mr. Deadman's the biggest misogynist in the world? Don't you know that? No.
Well,
I mean, I
top 20.
I am married. You have a daughter. I must not hate women, right?
I don't know.
My daughter's not allowed to go outside, and I call her a boy. No, I'm just joking. So I think we'll wrap this episode here.
Okay.
I think it's good. Talk to Mr. Williams. Got some good information.
Fun show.
Good experience, man. The Yeti's possibly real. The Yeti.
Yeah. How about that?
All right, guys. You made it this far. Press the like button, share, and subscribe. Y'all take it easy. All right.
Good night.